Have you ever wondered what to do with those old brown bananas that no one's gonna eat anymore? Well, I have a solution for you. Today, we're making banana bread. As you can see, I've prepped all of my ingredients and have everything out that I'm going to need to make banana bread. The very first thing you're gonna wanna do is prep your oven. Get it to 350. So after preheating your oven, you're gonna wanna take some Crisco vegetable oil, looks like this, and you're gonna wanna start spreading it in your pans. Now the secret behind this is not to get it too thick that it actually combines with your banana bread, then it will taste like this vegetable oil. You're not gonna wanna use the spray pan though. This stuff really prevents the banana bread from sticking inside the pan. Okay, so now that we have Crisco'd our pans, it's time to start combining the ingredients. So you're gonna combine 1 cup of sugar. Now there's a trick to this. You don't want a heaping amount of sugar. That's gonna be too much and it's gonna taste too grainy. You just want a nice even layer. You can even take a knife and scrape it across the top to kind of just get 1 cup. So you're gonna take a cup of sugar and a cup of softened butter. With the butter, you can put your microwave on a lower power level. So for example, I did the butter for 20 seconds on power level 6. This will make sure it's not melted, but just get it nice and soft. So now with these electric whisks, I'm gonna go ahead and cream this together for about a minute. After you're done creaming it, it should look like this. After that, you're gonna wanna crack 2 medium-sized eggs into this mixture. Along with 2 unripe bananas. I guess I shouldn't say unripe, more like very ripe. And we're gonna go ahead and blend this mixture for about a minute. Next in, you're gonna take just a splash of pure vanilla extract. I think they recommend about a teaspoon, but I just splashed some in there just to taste. So in a separate bowl, you're going to start to add the dry ingredients together. So the first thing we're gonna add is 2 cups of flour. I already have a cup in there, and again, you don't want a heaping cup of flour. You can just measure it with your finger, go like that. I'm gonna do that back into the flour container so we can use that later until it looks like this. Go ahead and put 2 cups of flour in a separate bowl. After that, in the same bowl as the dry flour, you're gonna want 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Again, go ahead and level that off. I like to do it with the side of the baking powder container. And go ahead and pop 1 teaspoon of that in there. After that, in the same bowl as the dry ingredients, we're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Baking soda has a lot of uses. One of them just happens to be cooking. We're gonna add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I just used this large container, popped 1/4 of a teaspoon in there. Finally, you're gonna wanna whisk together those dry ingredients. And we're gonna start to add them to our wet ingredients. Okay, so we're gonna take our wet ingredients and our dry ingredients and slowly combine them. You're not gonna wanna combine all of them at once. So just add a little bit, mix a little bit more, add a little bit. Keep doing that until they're all combined. When you're beating dough like this, they say you're not gonna wanna beat it because it produces gluten. However, in this case, when you're beating banana bread, I like to beat it for several minutes because the gluten kind of makes the bread more airy and light and less dense and doughy. All right, so once you combine your dry ingredients and wet ingredients and you beat for a few minutes, that's what it's gonna look like. It should look like at least. And we're gonna start pouring this in the pan. Another thing that's super important when baking any type of bread, pretty much, any cupcakes, cake, bread, banana bread, you're not gonna wanna fill it the entire way because it needs room to rise in the pan. So as you can see, I only filled it maybe a sixth of the pan. This one I filled a little bit more, but this is also gonna take less time to bake because it's smaller. So now I'm gonna pop these in the oven for about 50 minutes, and then I'm gonna check on my small loaf. And my big loaf will probably take around 60 minutes. All right, so I popped these in the oven, and I went ahead and set a timer for 45 minutes. Make sure your oven is already at 350. So the little loaf has been in the oven for 45 minutes now. So we're gonna take a butter knife and stick it in there. And as you can see, it comes out clean. So that means that that loaf is done baking. I've removed both of them from the oven. This is what they turned out like. Since they are a little bit smaller loaves, they actually ended up both being done at 45 minutes. I didn't end up popping the big one back in the oven like I normally do. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson on how to make banana bread. I hope you use it in the future.